What's up, everybody? Eric here with another EWE Reviews. Today I'm going to be reviewing A Haunting in Venice. Before we get into that, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, let me know what you want me to review next. But yeah, this is A Haunting in Venice. This is the third of those murder mystery movies I've been reviewing. Just checking the timestamps. I will say in the end of this video which of the three is my favorite, so check out that part of the video for sure. So yeah, this is A Haunting in Venice. It's a murder and mystery film with the rating of PG-13, released on September 15, 2023. So this is the most recent one, with a budget of $60 million. So notice that the budget went down from the last one. I think they realized that, hey, we might have paid too much for those big actors in the second movie. Well, let's pull that back a little bit. So yeah, the cast here, not as big, like well-known as other ones. They still have some big known actors, but not as much as other ones. I don't have the true box office yet. I know it's made at least 40 million, but it's just came out last week, so it's still in theaters. So gonna see how that number changes going forward. I'm not sure if I expected the actually I could see it getting over 100 million and basically being a success that way. I think the last one was just, it was so much. I think the budget was like somewhere between 90 and 100. It's like, well, you got to double your box office, you double your budget for these to be successful. It's like, I didn't think it had a chance in hell. So yeah, hopefully this one's able to get to 120, 150 million. Remember, the first one did really well, but I think as we keep going, it's like these numbers might be going down and down. People are liking streaming a lot more. Times have changed from before. So director for this is still Kenneth Branagh. The cast includes Kenneth Branagh, as usual, Poire, Tina Fey, Kelly Riley, Ricardo Scarmesio, Michelle Yeoh, Jamie Dornan, Kyle Allen, and Jude Hill. I have some stuff to say about Jude Hill because I will admit that kid made this movie for me. So a runtime of 103 minutes, which I'm like, oh, score. This was the perfect timing for this movie. I thought it was like, it wasn't too bloated. I love shorter movies that like, get to the point. Death on the Nile, I really enjoyed, but I did feel like it was slightly too long. Here, I thought the timing was perfect. And I watched this in Dolby format, and as usual, there is no post-credit scene for these movies. So the plot is, after years of solving cases, Hercule Poirot has finally called it a career and retired to Venice. He seems like he's lost his faith in God and humanity, but luckily his friend shows up, Tina Fey's character, to try and get him on something, a case with a supernatural element to it. Poirot reluctantly agrees, but this ends up getting him on a new case that's very spooky and supernatural. So that's all I'm going to say for here. Remember, this is a spoiler-free review, so let's now move into my spoiler-free thoughts. So, the bad. This movie was marketed too much like a horror film, in my opinion. I think they needed to put more of the murder mystery part in the trailer. Just because, remember, this was the first one I watched with the group. So I came into this movie thinking I'm watching a horror film. And I was like, oh man, this is a horror film, this is a horror film. And then I realized, this is not a horror film. And remember, prior to this, I want to say my review was The Nun 2. So I came in expecting The Nun 2, and it's like, oh, this isn't The Nun 2. I will say, this being the third one, and I know Book couldn't be in the movie, but his attitude, I think, was missed from this. However, because this is more of a darker movie, I can see why having a character like that wouldn't have worked as much. Though Tina Fey's character was a little bit more jolly and happy, but I don't know, their connection didn't work for me as much, but that could just be like some actors' chemistry just doesn't work, and I felt like theirs didn't work as much as I wanted it to. All right, let's move on to the good. As we all know, there's no coincidences in this movie, so you have to be careful about what you're listening to. They tell you, so in the other films, this is the first one where I would say it's really hard to nail down who done it. And it's also very hard because they changed the formula up enough that you have to be paying attention to, wait, which thing are we talking about that happened? And I know they did this in the second one as well, but this one's even more different than that because I can't want to spoil it. But yeah, things happen in a different way, but you always got to keep in mind something from the start. Once you put that into perspective, you start thinking, well, how did this happen? How did that happen? And it gets you thinking. Like all these movies, I love that they get you thinking. This one definitely had me like, I did figure out who the killer was. I want to say definitely before they actually said it, but it took me a while and I had to take the hints. from what the movie was telling you. If you don't take the hints from other stuff, you're not going to figure this one out. But it is fun once you figure it out. And the horror to the horror element to this, it actually gets like, oh wow. And this is where I was talking about where Jude Hill, where it's like, that kid creeped me out. Like there was a while where I was like, is this actually a supernatural thing? The kid creeped me out. I'm just like, man, if I had a kid like that, I'm like, oh man, I'd be scared. The kid's creepy. The things he's saying, like the kid's talking to ghosts, and it's like, is he actually talking to ghosts? I can't tell, because he's hearing stuff and Poirot's also hearing it. It's just like, man, this kid's creeping me out. I do not like him. But in like in a good way. I thought the kid's performance was great. I hope to see him in other things going forward. And then there was a sub story here, and the sub story to me was just like, do I like this? Do I not like it? But once the movie's over, I was actually like, no, I actually did like this sub story compared to the one in Death on the Nile. Not that the one in Death on the Nile one was just meant to put all the characters together. This one's also done in a similar way, but it makes more sense in this story than it did there. That one just felt like hand wavy. This one felt like, oh no, this actually made sense to be here. And I love the ending because it leaves some stuff open, like maybe there is a supernatural thing. We don't know. So that was really cool. And then also we might get more adventures from him. We don't know where it's going to go. I kind of hope we get another film just because I actually really enjoyed this. And so far, these movies, I'm finding a lot of fun with them. So I'm comparing them with the Knives Out series. And right now, I would say they're pretty neck and neck, in my opinion, of who has better murder mysteries. I would say Glass Onion, I think, beats all of these, but not by like a crazy amount. I just really enjoyed how Glass Onion was done, and they picked their cast right for that film, where this one, I really enjoyed this one as well, but they had to lower the budget. I felt like Glass Onion, they just got like, oh, you can do whatever you want. So difference there. So let's move on now to my score, guys. I'm going to give this the same as Death on the Nile. I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10 for great, because I thought it was great. When the movie ended, I was just like, whoa, that was really cool. And I wanted to go, that was the score I was going to give originally when I first saw it. Now, the reason I didn't do this review right after watching was because since I hadn't watched the first two, I was just like, I don't want to rate this one too high, watch the first two and realize, oh, they did the exact same thing. No, they did enough variation where I was like, you know what? This actually worked really well for me. So I'm still giving this an 8 out of 10, and I definitely recommend people go watch it. So now moving on to that, let's actually talk about which of the three films is my favorite. And I'm going to do a spoiler-free, but I'm going to go with A Haunting in Venice. Although I think Death on the Nile might have been written better, what helps A Haunting in Venice is I've never seen a murder mystery like this, where it's like the horror element of it is so unique. Death on the Nile, I can say, is a one-on-one comparison to like Glass Onion. So it's like, okay, well, there's your Glass Onion. This, I'm like, I don't know what I can even compare this to, because it's not like this is a normal type of thing in that genre where it's like, oh, there could also be supernatural element to it, where the supernatural elements to it, like it had moments where like I got freaked out and I was just like, oh, wow. So for that reason, I have to give this one of the three my favorite, because this is the one where I'm like, oh, if I had to watch one right now, this is the one I'd pick to go watch again. Although I have watched Death on the Nile twice, and actually I watched the other two twice as well, but that was mostly just to see what I've missed. This one I didn't miss much, but even then it still made me want to watch it again. Remember, even though this was the first one that I watched, I kind of already got those hints of like, they're not just saying things just to say things. Like, these things matter, and then once you put it all together, you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like, even the murder like makes way more sense once you put it all together. And like I said, Jude Hill's like the first kid that they put in these stores, and it's like, that's a creepy kid. He really got me. He had that perfect role for here. All right, guys. So yeah, Haunting in Venice is my favorite. So if I were to rank them, it goes the higher one, 3, 2, and then 1. 1 wasn't bad. I think 1 has the most unique ending of the group. However, for 1, I did find it boring at times. This one did have a few moments at the beginning where I was bored, but going back and thinking about it, I was bored because I didn't know the character yet. A lot of that stuff made no sense to me, because I was just like, why are you wasting your time with this? Now going back, it seems like, oh, it's already an established character that if I would have watched the first two movies first, I don't think I would have been bored. I just got bored because I didn't know who the character was. I was like, why are you focusing so much on him? So that was my reasoning for why I originally thought that was boring. Now going back, I'm like, oh, no, that wasn't boring. They were actually just setting up the character. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Please like and subscribe. The next review, I might be doing something similar because I have a confession to make. I have not watched any of the Expendable movies before. So, and the fourth one comes out tomorrow. I'm going to go watch it. And I might do this whole thing like I did this week. Next week, I'll do daily. It's going to be Expendables movies leading up to 4. I'll probably put in an instant reactions to Expendable 4 to let you know what I thought of the film, similar to how I did for this one. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.